Okay, seeing it at 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Wage and Personnel meeting to order on Monday, August the 19th, in room 101 at 6 p.m. The meeting is being recorded by Zoom. Anyone intending to make an audio or video recording of this meeting should notify the chair at this time. Items may be taken out of order at the discretion of the chair. We have an appointment on the agenda this evening to discuss the classification of the office administrator, water position with incumbent Stacy Smith, and the water superintendent Christopher Baraka, email dated March 18th from Tina Betty, Human Resources Manager. Are we waiting for them, Tina?
I think they're walking in.
Okay, do you want to just do your update?
Sure.
Why don't we jump and we'll do Tina's update?
There.
Okay,
All right, so Tina's update.
yep,
Tina's update.
Hi, come on in.
go ahead, come on in, have a seat. We are,
Just jumping around for a
jumped
minute.
past you, we're doing Tina's update, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
I just don't want to sit.
I don't either.
Oh, she won't,
Okay, somebody wants to.
you don't want to sit right smack dab in the, oh, okay.
All
All
right,
right.
so our vets agent hopefully is being appointed today upstairs as we speak. In which case they will start next Monday. Our finance director started last Monday, so she is back first week too, so that's a good
Okay,
sign. We still have our less than part-time public health nurse that we're recruiting for. Keith sent out to department heads actually a couple of months ago, self-evaluations. So he is doing, he does the annual evaluations. So for the department heads and those, they'll be meeting with people soon.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm like, what is that? Working on the
Can't silence that one.
working on
A
the
bomb.
distribution list for the bylaw sign off. It did get updated, it didn't get updated in the transition of IT, so we've been working on that. I have trainings set up for department heads. One is with our labor attorney coming in to a department head meeting, doing a training on how to manage in a union environment. We do this every so many years. This is the first time Kate is doing it. So it's been a number of years since we've done it, but we have a lot of new department heads, and so that is
When
good.
is that scheduled for, do you know?
It's during a department head meeting, and it is October 1st or 2nd, whatever that Tuesday is.
Okay.
And I sent out to department heads the International City and County Management Association has online webinars, and so there's a training that's out there. There's a training that's out there for supervisors, and they have a number of them. But it's a free webinar, and they have a series of them, and so I've had a couple that have signed up for that. So I'm happy about that.
Are the webinars available to committee members?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I know Keith is a member. I don't know if anyone else is a member.
I just call them.
So.
I have no other- I didn't know if there were webinars. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then just a preview with some possible position related bylaw changes. We do still need to do a treasurer collector. We may do an assistant treasurer collector. Right now we have the assistant treasurer, and then our assistant collector is in KTU. But the thought is, if we're gonna join the treasurer collector, possibly join an assistant treasurer collector.
Okay.
I may try and at least get the HR assistant that's in the bylaw graded, so if by chance I ever am able to get that onto my budget, it's ready to go. I think that's it for my
Is,
update.
the assistant treasurer collector, is that something planned for fall time meeting?
It's not planned technically, so right now treasurer collector has to go up on fall town meeting because it's likely we're gonna need that for fiscal 26. If we go the route of doing the assistant treasurer collector, we gotta work with KTU, because right now that position,
Half of it's
collector,
in-
is it right?
half of it's in-
Right, so we'd have to kind of see where that works out, but because we're, because wage and personnel is on the 1-year rotation, it might be something that we put in there in hopes that we get to use it at some point, but try not to miss the cycle of it.
Okay, so the position approval for the assistant probably wouldn't come to springtime meeting.
For spring, yes, none of this is for
That's
fall. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just making sure.
Nope,
we're
sorry,
on-
when I was heard you say fall, I was thinking annual. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
and how are we back in negotiations now?
Nope, no, so it's funny, I was just telling the new finance director, so for the town employees, we have 3 police unions, 1 fire union, we have labor, and we have clerical, so those 6 contracts are on the same rotation, and those are end at the end of June 26. So
26.
yeah, so Keith and I will go into negotiations for that a year from now, a little later.
Right.
But KES and KIS have 2 unions, and the one that has like the custodians in it, that one the district should be negotiating now, because that will end in June of 25, and then their teachers in June of 26.
Teachers and unit
Mhm,
on the same as the other 6
Mhm.
unions. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
super fun.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get a feel for what's coming for that standpoint, so.
so we have a year. Sort of, kind of, sort of,
Except,
kind of.
except for KES, KIS. the
Which we
facility.
don't get into.
Right, that's
Yeah.
just them negotiating.
I
But
mean, I
that,
will
that may
say-
give you an indication of what the other ones may look like.
Mm,
Maybe,
Maybe.
maybe not. Who knows?
We are gonna try and at least get the schools on the um health and dental packages that we've come up with. They missed the last rotation for
Okay.
various reasons, and so we're hoping to do that, in which case we'll have 3 cycles of 3-year-long transitions. So for fiscal 26 will be the last year of the 3-year transition for the town. And then if the custodian, I think Paris might be in there, I'm not sure. If they agree to it, they'll start in 25 and go, no, in 26, so they'll go 26, 27, 28. And then the teachers will start 26, 27, no, 26. No, they'll start 27, 28, 29.
We need a map.
It's
I need
2 more-
staff.
So 2 more cycles before everybody's on the same cycle.
Okay. It'll be good in the end run.
Okay,
Hopefully,
anything else? Ian?
no.
No, anything, Lorraine?
Nope, all set.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you, Tina. So now we'll come back, sorry, guys, but I just figured we'd use the 10 minutes. So, now we'll come back to the appointment, discuss the classification of the office administrator, water position with incumbent Stacy Smith and water superintendent Crystal Baraka, email dated March 18th, 2024, from Tina Betty, Human Resources Manager. So I will turn it over to you,
Sure.
and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so I know I sent an email last minute, an hour or 2 ago, but, so to refresh everyone's memory. Last year, we brought forward, a 2-piece of the water office administrator. First would be to make it an exempt position. You guys were on board with that.
Yep.
The other
Yeah.
piece was to look at it to see if it could be reclassified. I felt it needed to go up another grade. I felt that the independence of the position, where it was in what the new grade would be, made more sense. So working with these guys, we did the job description, we did the JAQ. I went through the JAQ. I got the points high enough, but it moved up within the grade that it was currently in, which is grade 5. So it went from the last position to the first position, but it needed 5 more points in order to go to the next grade. And so when we discussed that, because we followed, you're gonna hear me say this a lot, we followed the science of compensation. We didn't move forward with it, and we didn't invite these guys in to talk with it, because we said the points weren't there, we're not moving forward with it. And then I rethought it, and I thought, okay, it just didn't feel right, right? And so that was part of the whole art piece of it, like, does the position feel right as to where it is in the compensation plan for the employer? And in looking at that, and you saw that I resent my email from March 18th, which was basically, here's the reasons why I think we should look at this again. And part of that it's 5 points shy. It is the only exempt position that's in grade 5 now. Grade 6 has all the other grade or other exempt positions, but in comparison, it does look like those would be the better fit, the better matches. I know one of the things that when we were discussing it, we went on to staff. I know that's a big piece of the JAQ. And we talked about it then, and, you know, I bring my position into it all the time. So here's how I feel about staff. And being able to manage staff or have the ability to manage staff. That's a budgetary thing, right? And so, you know, again, I'm using myself for my discipline. So HR is an HR manager. I have no staff because there's no budget to say HR needs a bigger staff because there's that much work. Having said that, if I were to look at my position, I could say I'm involved in every hire, every fire, every PIP, every reclassification, anything that touches a staff member. So when I look at that JAQ for any of the positions, I understand that there's a lot of pieces added to a position when you are responsible for a staff. I think we have to be a little bit broader than a staff equals employee. Because even when I look at the other department or the other positions that are in different grades that have staffs, we've looked at voluntary, we've looked at seasonal to really increase, like, oh, they have a staff of 500, you know, well, no one has a staff of 500 in the town, right? And so I think for this position, I don't feel comfortable. I don't think it's justified for water position to say, because there's no staff beyond the one person or the half a person, it shouldn't get additional points or additional credit. These guys can talk more about the direct involvement that Stacey's position has with staff and direct contact and level of responsibility. So I think all of those pieces combined with it's 5 points shy, it fits better in the higher grade, just given what the other positions in that grade are. I do feel that it needs to go to a grade 6. The current incumbent, it would affect their salary. They're already at a personal rate. But when she wins the lottery and I have to recruit for this, I wouldn't be able to recruit at the level that it's supposed to be at.
So, okay, how about, Lorraine, if you agree, we let them give us more of their presentation and then we can
Absolutely.
ask questions.
Yeah.
So-
Can I interject one more time?
Go
Can you
ahead.
just explain the third member and the situation with the third member?
Well,
Oh, Darlene.
yeah, basically our third member, Darlene, moved to Plymouth.
Oh, no.
So what
Very
happened?
suddenly.
Like the other day.
Suddenly.
The assumption is, based on what everybody says, is you have to be a resident of the town to be on the board.
Yeah.
That's the assumption.
Yeah.
I could not find it anywhere in the bylaw. I could not find it in Mass General Law. I called Paul Gallagher.
It's not elected. Elected
No.
would be the only one that. would
That's what I-
be
not-
president.
Again, everybody says that's incorrect, even on the appointed, because we're appointed by 3 different boards.
Oh.
The moderator appoints one of us, finance appoints one of us, and the selectman appoints one of us. So,
Nothing in the bylaws.
no, I
Well,
believe.
they're
that's-
looking, they're looking.
They're looking. So I called Paul and I said, Paul, and he gave me the same answer that you just did, which is, well, it's elected board. No, they have to be a member of the town.
They're not
And it-
elected.
But then, but it's not elected. But then he says, but wait a minute, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And he says, let me check. He said, they could have made that rule in 1742. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it could be in the town bylaw. Okay, so I told Darlene, listen, since we have to make a decision tonight, I don't want another controversy on top. of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping there is none,
So
but I
set this
didn't
one
want,
up.
but I didn't want that problem. In addition, so I said, best you don't come to the meeting tonight. I said, you know, only, and Paul agreed with my reason. So that's the reason why Darlene's not here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, we do have a quorum with the 2 of us.
Yes.
So that is in the bylaw.
We've done this before when we've gotten down to him and I.
Him and that, right?
And
For a
we had-
while.
No problem.
So that's the reason, okay?
Okay.
But,
All right, thank you for that.
and she just moved, literally, like, she was still moving today. She
Yeah.
just, she's finishing today.
She was
Wow.
talking about moving last week when we met.
Oh, really?
But it wasn't until later in the month.
Correct.
Right,
So-
but there was, you know, she put in a bid and then a not bid, then this fell and that one, and then boo, 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 boo. And it was,
Good for her.
Yeah, great.
no, bad for us.
A lot.
Good for her.
Bad
bad
for
for
you.
us.
But I did say, listen, I don't want you to go, I said, but I also don't want you to have a problem. So I said, let's wait till Paul comes back and tells us. So that's the issue. And we handled it the best way we thought that it should be handled, given the fact that, you know, we want to do the right thing for you and the town and everybody, but I think that would have complicated.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the reason. So now I'm gonna turn it over to you guys.
Thank you.
Give us a little, your own version of, you've heard what some of our concerns are. Okay, you know, somebody taught me a long time ago, okay, you wanna know how the truck's running, ask the driver.
Mhm.
I wanna ask the driver, okay?
Do you wanna ask that driver?
Well.
The driver, he's the passenger.
But no, in all seriousness, Stacy, it really is, that's where I always boil down to. When
Okay,
I sell oil and lubricants and
Yeah.
grease for a living, okay? I don't go in and talk to the owner of the company. I talk to the mechanic.
Mhm.
Cause he's the guy that's using the stuff to make sure it works.
great.
Okay, so that's really the point. So, tell us a little about your day.
Okay,
That's a
so,
great place to start.
Hey, I like it.
so, and I'll just start with, I know this is not about me, it's about the
It's a
position.
position,
So
right?
if I say I
No,
know
no,
it's the
and
position.
if I say you, it's not you, totally,
It's the
it's the
position, okay.
position.
All right,
All right, and because, and Tina's doing what her job, and honestly, you know, we respect Tina for a lot of her knowledge, we come to her all the time with questions. They're, you know, I'm taking this seriously because she's basically saying, hey, guys, I think we made a mistake, you might wanna look at it again.
Right.
Okay, and I give her credit for that, okay, now I wanna hear, what did we miss, what did we?
Yeah.
And convince us.
sure, okay. So I've been the office administrator now for, when did I start? I started with the town in 11 and I moved over in 13. So I've been just about 11 years. And it's taken me probably about 10 years to really understand the entire role of this job.
Hmm.
And Chris is the second superintendent that I worked with. So I work for the superintendent and also under the guise of the Board of Water Commissioners, and their clerk as well. Every day, on a day-to-day, I come in, you know, there are certain daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannually, and annual tasks that I do, just as any administrator. It was always, Munis is like the number one portion of my job, the quarterly billing, final bills to people who are closing their houses for real estate sales. Regular residents that call with questions about their water or their bill or whatever. That's the number one day-to-day job. Quarterly, obviously, it's the combination of Chris and the guys going out to collect all the reads in town, and then my admin and I inputting all the data into the bill schedule or into the bill run to do the quarterly bills. That is also in collaboration with all the sewers based on water consumption. So we do all of the sewer billing in the water department. We do submit a proof of the bills, the quarterly bills to sewer for them to review. And if they have any questions, you know, there's communication between us and we can explain it. But we do all of their billing. Shutoffs. Every summer we do a shut-off program for those people that have not paid their previous fiscal year water bills, water and sewer bills. That's a big project. That's sending out numerous letters, sending out the reminder letters, marking out people's properties, stuff been paid by the shut-off date, and then collecting all that money. So we started that program in March of this year, and we're still going through. We've done about 250 to 300 shut-off calls to notices to people. Another thing that we do quarterly or biannually is the backflow program. That's when we have a third-party vendor come in. They do all the backflow inspections across town. They bill us, and then we bill out people that had the inspections done.
Question,
Yes.
what's a backflow?
Ask Chris.
I have no idea.
Don't
what
turn a
this-
wrench, but.
Yeah, a backflow device, any place that has fire protection, building automated fire protection, irrigation system, any of the schools, restaurants, they have a backflow device. So what that does is that protects the distribution system from anything they're doing in the building. If there's drop in system pressure from coming back in to contaminate
Okay.
the system. So
Okay, that makes sense.
it's like a check valve, basically.
Yeah,
protect the distribution system.
Okay, I just wasn't familiar.
Yeah,
in that.
yeah.
But there's a lot of them in town, so.
Oh, there is, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a program that you also take care of to make sure it's done.
Yeah, yeah. When I first started, I had 3 days to learn the job.
Yeah,
From a person who'd been there for 20 some odd years.
jump in.
And it was at the end of a bill run, so I was like, gonna be responsible for closing it all out, and it's nuts. So I really didn't learn every part of the job. It took me a good couple years to actually get into the swing of things. Learn it on my own, yeah. So backflow thing, that had kind of fallen by the wayside. We were paying for the backflow inspections, to
But
be
not
done,
recouping.
but then we weren't recouping it, and then it was like, oh, I have to do this. Okay, so now I have to figure out a program because nobody taught me. So that was the other thing. Going back to, yeah,
How big is that? How
uh,
many roughly?
we probably 50 maybe, 50, but some are semi-annually, some are annually.
We have, you know, a number of, we're not building all the restaurants. It's a contracted also. A contractor comes in, he'll spend a day, 2 days testing all these. And then once he generates his report, Stacy gets the reports, then she has to go through each report. If there's failures in there, she has to draft a letter to send
Oh.
out to those businesses to follow, to make sure those backflow devices get repaired.
And then do you follow up with the inspection, re-inspection? of
Yeah.
Yes.
those? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a
So
tremendous
it
amount of
could
legwork.
be anywhere from 50 to 150
Depending, right.
transactions, depending on what happens and so forth.
Right,
Yeah.
and some are semi and some are annually. And some
Yeah,
are
I'm just
yeah.
trying to get a number.
But once we get those reports, they have to be sent out to the occupants. Then Stacy also generates a bill to pay for that inspection,
Right.
which she follows up on, is on top of, so.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit of work.
Then there's the departmental bills that get paid every week through us, and we have quite a few. Both the-
You set them up, approve them and send them to finance, or they get paid within what?
So we put them on bill schedules, enter them into Munis, and then, put them on a bill schedule, they get signed by the Board of Water Commissioners, then we enter them into Munis, and then they get sent up to
Finance.
account. Yeah,
And can I just, interject for a minute? So, correct me if I'm wrong, but, water for a long time, it's still kind of true, is the only department that the department themselves put everything into Munis, as opposed to going into accounting. We're just now getting the admins in different departments or the assistant, agents kind of a thing, to learn that function. So that's gonna function within Munis for years.
yeah,
That she is, responsible for basically the same level as what the assistant to the, finance director would do within Munis.
and additionally with Munis, there's a whole training aspect of it. For a long time, as you know, the sewer department had, they had a hard time trying to keep staff over there. That seems to have resolved itself, and Jeannie's great over there. But with that came a lot of training on Munis, and I'm probably one of the more seasoned people in utility billing with Munis. So I kind of threw myself out there to sewer and said, hey, if you want your admin to understand how to use Munis, I'm more than happy to come down and train it. I've done that with 3 admins. And if they have problems or, Jeannie has a question, she calls me, I'll usually try to help her out or get her the information. But that Munis training has become significantly more important and a more important aspect of that job because I'm in it.
Yeah.
No, I believe me, when I see Munis experience.
Yeah.
It does mean a lot to us.
Yeah,
Because I do know what it encompasses, so,
it's not user friendly and
No.
it's a tricky program,
Yeah.
so.
okay.
So that's a big part of it. Trying to think, there's so many little things that I do that I'm gonna walk out of here and go, oh, I've
That,
touched
you know,
on this,
take-
that.
The purpose is to really just understand it, because honestly, when we graded this in the JAQ, and Lorraine will say the same thing. Okay, you weren't here,
Right,
and we kept asking questions, and when we didn't have a question, we have a default. Is it a perfect system? No.
yeah,
Okay, does it give us a baseline for which to go forward? Yes. In this situation, it's rather unique because you're on a personal rate. And we're talking about ranges, so, I mean, I understand your point.
Yeah.
But I'm also sitting here going, well. I understand what you're doing, but if it ain't broke, why am I fixing it? is sitting in the back of my head.
Mhm.
In other words, why can't we do this when the next person comes on board? And if we have to, why do we have to do it now? And I'm trying to hear that
Yeah.
part be dismissed. Okay, and I understand, it sounds to me that your position is very key in driving revenue, okay? Because if the bills don't go out, you guys don't get the money in.
That's right.
How about collections? Is that in your world?
Yeah, I mean, the shut off program is basically our.
Who calls and
collection
says,
program.
hey, we're shutting this off tomorrow, you either pay us, you do.
Yeah.
Okay,
She generates the letters, sends out the letters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Formats the letters.
Yep.
Packages the letters. to
I
get
also
sent
have,
out.
I also have the discretion with the permission of Chris and the board to
except
work out.
a payment plan or
Yes.
something.
Oh, yeah.
All right, which again, that's real important to understand. And again, I'm a big revenue guy, especially in the town.
Mhm.
Because without the revenue, we don't have the services.
Right.
So the more revenue, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, I have a little more understanding than I.
Yeah.
Would
There's
you
also,
like?
there's
go
also, the other piece of
Go
this
ahead.
is with hiring.
Mhm.
Chris and I work collaboratively on that, whether it be an admin for my assistant or whether it be
Worker in
repairman
his world?
for him. Where we do the interviews together, I'll pretty much follow up with candidates, send out letters, call references, been part of the interview. So that's.
Are you
that's a
involved
pretty-
in that too?
I'm not, on the labor side, I don't get involved too much with
Yep.
the interviewing, usually on the admin side I do.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, typically when I work with a department head on hiring, they're the ones making the reference calls, they're the ones doing
Okay.
the interview setup.
I just understand
Yep.
the process, okay, okay. Anything else?
Sure, there's a million other things.
I know.
How about, I'm gonna throw something out.
Sure.
How about, vehicle monitoring? Does that fall under your purview?
No, that would be,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I myself on the phone would be, handling
They
the
handle
vehicle
that.
maintenance and
yeah.
such.
Can you talk a little bit about the day-to-day assignments?
Yeah, so typically what happens is Lori and I, so Lori's my admin. She works part-time for me. She's awesome. So glad we got
Another good hire.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Anyway, she will pretty much she'll come to me and say, what do you need me to do today? I usually always give her a plan for the day of the week or whatever project we're working on, and she runs with it, goes. If Chris isn't in the office, this is pretty key because the guys will always come to me in the morning. My foreman will come to me and say, hey, we got a road job, we're gonna be here. Do you have anything else that needs to go out? Or they don't have a road job. Hey, this is who's with who today in the truck. I'm gonna be up here. So-and-so's gonna be at the treatment plant. They'll check in with me occasionally. Has anything come in through the office? Blah, 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 blah. So there's a lot of communication day to day between my staff or with the crew, depending on when Chris is there, Chris is on vacation, Chris is out, whatever. But it's usually always me that they come to say, what are we doing today? What's the work? What's the order? So
communication for the operational side of the
Mhm.
business,
Yep.
for lack of a better word.
Correct.
Communication for the admin side and the operation side.
mhm.
Now, talk to me a little bit about the communication from the board of commissioner side.
Mm.
Okay, so yeah.
Because the first thing I wrote down is two bosses. And I hate two bosses, okay, you too, yeah.
The board is.
Why
the
is
board
the
is-
Board of Water Commissioners involved with you
Right.
personally?
So
And not directly. that's-
So I'm their clerk, so
Yes.
they'll indicate to me, the chairman will indicate to me, he comes in 3-4 times a week. And he'll check in, he'll sign bills, he'll give me direction for the agenda for the next meeting. If a call has come in that is for the attention of the board, we'll talk about it. And he'll say, yeah, go ahead and put them on the agenda, or no, that can wait, So there's a lot of day-to-day communication I have with them. If he is not around in town, then I've got to communicate with the other two to come in and sign the bill schedule. Our chairman is the sole signatory, so he can sign the bills without the other two, but if he's out of town, I need both of them. So it's a lot of chasing.
Yes.
Well, we're very fortunate to have, honestly, water commissioners that are involved, quite
Yes.
frankly.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I've done the water budget once, when I
Mhm.
was on the finance committee, I sat with you.
Yes, yep.
And I sat with, Bob.
Yep, Bob Pasca,
Bob,
yep,
Bob.
and Matt.
Yeah,
Yep.
and Matt at the
Yep.
time. So I kind of was in that building and went through it, in a different perspective,
Yeah.
but, you know, got a pretty good understanding of what it's like. So, primary communication. So here's my next question.
Mhm.
You get hit by a bus.
Nope,
Yeah.
wins the lottery.
Yeah.
No dead people.
Who does my job? So, it would be tough. But Lori, I've spent a lot of time with Lori in the last year, cross-training her in different things in my absence. For instance, I used to always take the laptop with me on vacation because I would inevitably go on vacation when there was a payroll week. I used to do payroll on vacation. That was one of the
Payroll
first,
from unit,
yes,
Okay.
No.
no,
No.
no, it's an
Payroll.
Excel spreadsheet that we
Yeah.
send up
you
to.
send it up in
Yeah,
Excel. So
yeah.
you collect hours?
Yep.
And you send it out.
Calculate their out of classification, their overtime, all
Okay.
their regular hours, their vacation time, PTO.
So you
yeah.
have access to all the payroll data.
Yes,
Okay.
yep. So when Lori came on board, I said, I don't wanna do this anymore. I don't wanna take vacations with a laptop.
No.
So I trained her how to do it. She's also learned a lot of the billing processes. She doesn't do, a lot of everything, but she knows a little about a lot. And I keep pretty meticulous, office manual notes that I have, pretty much every topic that I have behind my desk. So if I'm not there, she has a place to reference. So, I mean, it's not that it couldn't get done. There's nobody that's not replaceable, unfortunately. But there would be a learning.
So you get back up.
Yeah.
Does the water, commission have a life insurance policy? Just curious, you know that.
She paid the bill.
Yeah. You see it in the beneficiary.
And then annually with the budget, you know, Chris and I collaborate on that
Mhm.
too, so.
Mhm.
I
So
mean-
there's, and I assume there's a fair amount of input. Would you describe yourself as being the collection point for the input from both the operational side, for the commissioner's side?
Yes.
And the town side?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I collect the data, yeah.
Ryan, can you talk a little bit more about your connections to the different pockets of the town?
Yeah, so I'm usually, it's always been that role has been like the gatekeeper to whoever's sitting in the superintendent's office. So I'm usually the first point of contact with town administrator, with the accountants, with treasurer's department. Basically anything that comes into that office comes through me first. Going the other way, there are many times where Chris is like, can you get a hold of Keith and check on this? Can you call Tina and check on this? Can you email Jay Tallerman and ask him? So, you know, that's just part of my job. You know, I always have that first line of contact with people.
Mhm.
Um,
Can I ask about the latest water project?
Yeah.
What's that done for your job?
Actually, it's been running pretty smooth.
Issues.
Yeah, but issues would go to you,
Yeah, issues would go to me, like the first week that
the
it was
traffic
going
and all that
on.
stuff, I'm
all
sure
the
you're in all of
traffic.
it.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, nice messages that were left for me.
I
Um,
didn't send.
no, I've had some nice people call and say some wonderful things.
Well, but again,
It
that's.
comes with the territory.
The territory, but also it's important for us to understand that.
Yep.
You know, yeah, the water department's a monopoly of water, there's not much you can do about it. You
Yes.
want water, you go to the water department, and you
Right.
do your well.
Yep.
So, your goal is to have a happy customer
Yes.
regardless.
Yep.
So sometimes you gotta tell them something they wanna hear.
Yep.
And deliver that message, so that's, I understand that,
Yep.
so, do you have anything else?
Bills, training. payroll.
No, it's good. I learned a lot more about the position than I
Yeah,
thought possible.
yeah.
Quite
Yeah.
frankly.
Oh, go ahead.
So,
Did you have
Lorraine, do
something?
you
Oh,
have
there's the
anything?
shut up, probably. Yeah, I have a question.
Go
Just one, honest to God, and that's a miracle. Yeah.
She's not wrong.
That's her way of complimenting me for asking all the questions.
There's a change on this when they redlined the job description. It did say you were it says serves as, and this is what redline. serves as a primary contact for the water department, answering the department's telephone, online, or greeting citizen staff at a front desk, referring inquiries to appropriate town staff, yada, yada, yada. What this says, striked out, is exactly what you just explained to me.
Mhm.
Why would this be redlined? And in its place, it's put in fields, inquiries and requests from the public, and determines the appropriate department or agency to assist, knowledgeable and practicing key areas. So why would they take serves as a primary contact when clearly you indicate that you are the primary contact?
I think that's
See
just
what I
a
mean?
language change.
So it's a
I-
language.
Yeah, it's a
thing, but
language
it's-
change.
So,
Yeah.
so when I look at stuff like that with job descriptions, I see something different in terms of services primary contact, right? Because primary contact could be, hi, water department, can I help you? Whereas
Right.
this is what's happening. There's more directive behind it, and maybe it's because of longevity, but again, when she wins the lottery, longevity is gonna have to come in the door. So,
So primary
so-
contact in your brain is not necessarily the person that's doing what she's doing.
Could just be
the way,
first
the
person
way
who
I
answers the
see
phone.
it serves as primary contact is, hi, water department, can I help you? Oh, hold on.
And then transfer it. to
Right,
me. Whereas
right.
she feels, Stacy will field the call, and then she'll also do the best to mitigate that, the best way that she can, whether it's a water quality, issue that, from a water shutdown that we get done around town. We have a significant issue, a break or anything. Stacy is very instrumental in quelling getting out, she's very proactive, getting out, a message on Blackboard to alert the public,
Yeah.
hey, this is what's going on, this is what we're doing, and how long it's gonna be. She's very proactive in that sense, but that would change it so that she's gonna mitigate and deal with those calls right there, rather than just transferring it to me or to the foreman or to the town hall. She's gonna listen to what you have to say and do the best she can to mitigate that.
Right, I think
Right there.
the admin is the one saying, water department asks the question and then goes to you to say, is this a town administrator thing? Is this a Chris thing? Is this, where she, again, longevity is part of it, but also at the level of the position
Mhm.
to know, this is a Chris thing, but I know how to handle it on my own. I'm gonna handle it on my own and let him know versus let me send it over to him or whoever the supervisor
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Lori is definitely the first. I mean,
Yeah.
if you can answer the phone with her in the office, good luck, because she's quick on that phone.
Yeah,
How many, what's Lori's schedule?
She works Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 9:30.
Okay,
Like 25 or
Okay.
27.
Okay.
something like that. And I just wanted to interject again. So you had said before, if it's not broke, why fix it? Why don't we just wait until we win the lottery? Because my concern is she's gonna win it tomorrow, and I have to wait until fiscal 26 to get anything that says this is a higher level position.
Try to be a little more proactive.
No, I understand.
Than
I
reactive.
understand. I mean, the one thing that I will state, and that I'm not gonna put words on Lorraine's mouth, but, we're an advisory board.
Mhm.
Okay, to the Board of Selectmen. We make recommendations. I take them pretty seriously,
Mhm.
so I do the research.
Right.
Okay, so that's why, and Tina's seen me
Yep.
come back with these questions out of left field, because I've done my research, looked at what this is and what that is. And my opinion is based on what I see out there from everything from 22 to now, the position that we have graded 5 and the pay on those grades is spot on what that position is. And I'm trying to get you to convince me why it's not.
So when I say I have to recruit for someone when she goes off, yeah, it's the money, but as applicants, you're gonna look at a job and say, that's beneath me, and we're not gonna get the right candidate if it's not placed correctly. Because, you look at a job description, if it says grade 6, no one knows what that means.
No,
You know
it's
what I
all in the
mean?
details. I
Right.
mean, must have munis experience. Must be good with customer,
Right.
direct contact with customers as well as
Decision
employees.
making, all of that, right.
For lack of a better term, you're the pancreas of the water department. Everything goes through you. Okay, that is what it is. Okay.
Like the other one.
I know, but-
You could take an
but-
superintendent.
But I'm just saying, that's exactly what you do. Everything goes through you.
She
So
wants to be the heartbeat.
I understand. Okay, but,
That was,
So-
Remember that.
Well, if you look it up, it's,
No,
yeah.
it makes complete
Yeah.
sense.
you know,
But, and so that's why I'm questioning it,
Sure.
okay?
Yeah.
It's not the candidate.
Mhm.
First of all, I know you a little bit, and I'm just gonna tell you, you're lucky to have you, but that's based on what I hear and what I'm talking to you. You definitely care about what you're doing. Talk about exempt, you're exempt.
Yep.
That means to you what?
That means to me that I am not tied up in any union garble. Honestly, well, you asked me personally, that's my personal.
No, I-
preference.
That's true.
But, no, exempt means that it takes me, as long as it takes me to get the job done, I don't make any additional overtime. I've always been okay with that because when I was hired, and this is kind of funny, I did not know that I was eligible for overtime. I was told I was not eligible for overtime. So all those 10 years of meetings
Yeah.
and staying late, I never got compensated for it, never complained about it because I thought it was part of the job until a couple of years ago when Tina's like, oh yeah, well. What?
No, and
So,
I'm not shocked, I've heard it before, I've heard it before.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's why I wanted to hear what it meant to you.
right, but to
Okay.
me, I think the position has a little bit more management in it. And having said that, I think it qualifies as an exempt position, and that's why I was so strong about it. Because there is a lot of management in that office for my position, for my position, I have a lot of management control. Along with Chris, under Chris's purview, I'm granted it. So, I mean. Right, I mean.
Yeah,
saying
no,
anything
this-
wrong?
No, I mean, there's a great deal that really kind of goes unnoticed with Stacy. She fields all the calls for, high usage, low usage, meters aren't reading. She'll send out letters. Once those letters come in, she schedules all the work, and there's a lot to plan all that. When we're trying to do road jobs, trying to do building maintenance, property maintenance, everything else. Especially this time of year, it can be a real challenging thing to fit everything in. But she works very closely with the foreman to be able to make all those pieces fit in day to day. There's a lot of moving parts down there, and while doing that, doing the shut off program to get revenue in, to get other bills in, get bills out. So there's a lot going on ordering, a lot of times we're ordering chemicals and stuff to keep the plants up and running. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on there that no one really sees or understands that Stacy's responsible for.
Where would this position go next? In your mind?
What do you mean?
In other words, a position opens up elsewhere in town, would you? Because you have a lot of experience in this one department's a little town,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
you're
yeah.
running a little town.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go anywhere else. in the-
I'm not saying you,
No.
I'm not saying
It's
you.
growth for this position.
Yeah,
because
the
you're not
growth
getting-
position. In other
this
words,
position isn't gonna
Where,
be-
like, say
Yeah.
you're sitting here and talking to me and you say, yeah, this person would be really good as the assistant town administrator.
Yeah.
Is that in the realm of possibility? Could they take over another department? Could they become a department head in
I think the only,
facilities?
yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that's different between this position and say, and I'm just gonna compare it to the admin in the board of selectmen's office, is a procurement license. I mean, she doesn't do the quarterly billing, she doesn't do all of that, but she has a lot of the same functions. She works for an elected board, she works for the town administrator. The only difference between she and I is she's got a procurement license and
Is there any licenses that you believe she may need going further, future?
No, I mean, if she wanted to get a procurement license, I'd advocate for that because we're an enterprise account. So
Yep.
there are certain things that we do, it could be beneficial to us. And that's something that I would, definitely support her with, if that's
I
something.
don't know if we could do that, though. I mean, I don't know with the town. I don't know.
I don't know
I
if
mean,
it could be certified.
So you would learn how it works, like it visually works, everything would still have to go through Keith though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be the procurement officer. But you can also be educated.
Right.
In the procedures
Mhm.
for procurement.
Right.
Without being a procurement official.
Right.
Yeah, I think it could have potentially be beneficial because it would take out that one element
Yeah.
of, once we get something done, to send it up to the town, to the selectmen's office for review and approval, then we
Yeah.
say, all right, you've already reviewed it, it just needs the final approval and the streamlined
Official
thing.
signature, and yeah.
A lot of times, things that we do can be really time sensitive.
Yep.
For lead times to get certain chemicals or repair parts or anything like that. And so to be able to have that ability, she's a notary of the public, which helps facilitate a lot of other things that, things that we need notarized. We can do it right there, not have to come down to the town hall to get it
You
done.
notary? You notary?
So,
I used to be.
Yeah, I started in the clerk's office. That's where I got it. And I just.
Ah. Yeah.
They wouldn't let me get rid of it. They told me to keep it.
You know, I'm retired and I still have it.
Yeah.
And when it goes, it will go.
Yeah.
You know, as my kids put it, what good are you if I can't, you know, if you can't notarize me? Because you can't. It's the rule.
Yeah.
Question, I want to go back a little bit, into probably both of you. How do you schedule, you indicated that you keep an eye on the construction and the field work, and how do you do that?
So typically what we do is we've always been pretty fortunate with our guys being able to be flexible to come off a job if they're doing something and I say, hey, I had this last minute read that just came in from a realtor. I got to get it in by the end of the day. Can you send someone to go get this read? We're usually pretty accommodating. So the first thing that we do is we'll ask the resident, whoever's calling us, when they would like their appointment. I'll take a look at the calendar, see if we can, 9 times out of 10, we can accommodate them. And then I just make a phone call to inform them and say, hey, just, you get a lot of service calls on this day. So if you have a lead coming up, you may want to do it the day before, the day after, depending upon when. Sometimes he'll come to me and say, hey, we've got a job we have to do tomorrow and I have 4 service calls. Can you call and reschedule? Because we have to do this. That has to prioritize.
Right, so you really do schedule the work.
and she
And the
schedules meter calls and troubles with meters,
Okay.
closings, markouts. She's answering the phone when the stuff comes in, and you just keep getting calls, and especially like we're doing a job and we have to shut down a neighborhood. It could cause quite a bit of disruption in the system town-wide, and who gets inundated with those calls.
So if I had a personal problem with the water in the toilet, is that
That's dirty water.
sewer?
Well, it depends on if you had like a toilet that was gurgling and like bubbling up. It could be a water hammer or something else.
I don't know what a water hammer is.
I have that in my old house. Yeah.
What's a water hammer?
Not in
Really
your,
loud.
not in your toolbox.
Really, really, you'd know it if you had it.
So it's a hydraulic surge in the pipes. It goes back. Kind of like a wave in the
Bang.
pipes.
Like a
It could be
bang.
banging, yes.
Okay, no, I don't have that.
I have a question for you.
You have a water wrench. Okay, thank you very much, very much. Okay. One more, what?
All right, I got plenty of water.
I'm going back in and it says, guidance to one part-time employee who works at the same location. The number of employees supervised does not change substantially during the course of the fiscal year. If you only have one part-time person,
Think of rec. Rec has 1 employee.
Yeah.
And during the summer, they have all those people.
so you have people that are,
So at any given time during the year,
temporary?
if Chris isn't there, Chris is on vacation, Chris is away, I'm now the foreman and the 4 guys that work under him.
okay,
I'm organizing their work schedules.
okay.
Which you kind of do during the year. as
Right.
well.
It was a little more lead role in my absence.
I'm one of those people that actually looks at words. The number of employees supervised does not change. Supervision is specific. If you're covering somebody, then you're covering somebody. But if you supervise somebody, that means you are responsible for those employees' performances. So how do you, in Chris's case, if it goes out, how do you contribute to their performance if they're supervised? That's where it's that word.
So, I'm trying to think of an example for you. In
Yeah,
my head. Well, Okay, so I'm not in the trucks with the guys driving around the town, but neither is Chris.
Okay.
Okay, if Chris is away and I send one of the guys out to a resident's house to, let's say, shut their water off for the winter, okay? And a couple hours later, I hear back from the resident that their water is still on, and I know I sent somebody out there. Then I'll call the employee that I sent out there and said, hey, did you shut that water off? And they said, yeah. I said, really? Because I got the resident on the phone saying the water is still on. And then lo and behold, they realized they shut off the wrong house.
The wrong house.
Not saying it happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's follow-up there
Okay.
with some of the guys. But if they're doing their job and I'm not hearing back from anybody, then, you know, we don't need to micromanage them. They know the tasks at hand. They bring back the service orders. If they're gone all day and I'm expecting final reads to come by, best believe I'm on the horn with them and saying, hey, who has my final read for, you know, Walter Fonts that was supposed to be done at 9 and it's now 1 o'clock.
Gotcha. Because there, to me, there is a distinct difference between somebody, you know, helping out and super. And to me, there's a specific meaning for it, but you know, that's me.
Mhm.
Okay, well, thank you.
The, at some point, do you think that the part-time assistant will be full-time?
I think eventually,
And
It would-
what events would transpire to cause that?
well, honestly, I mean, and I've said this, we have a big enough department that we could use more employees should the time come.
Oh, yeah, on the street, the town's grown that much in the workload day to day on the road, you know, with construction, seasonal stuff and everything else, and then you couple that with, we do our own building maintenance, property maintenance. The upkeep can be quite a bit,
Facilities does not do any of the building maintenance?
not for us, no. Because we're enterprise, so we're on our own.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
How about the moratorium? The water moratorium?
Yeah, I mean,
What-
definitely when that gets lifted, you know, we have a well online and we're able to open up more water to people, then the building is gonna, it's gonna increase, it's gonna increase.
So, it's what I'm looking for.
Mhm.
I'm trying to understand what would cause an addition of, even though you're an enterprise fund, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, you're
Sure.
still an enterprise fund that at the end of the day gives the excess money back to the treasury in the town that you don't use, so that's always a good thing. I like enterprise funds a lot, okay? But that's why I'm trying to see growth wise,
Mhm.
this position growing to the point where now you have a full-time admin, possibly more, answering to you. And doing direct supervision, for 8 hours of the day.
Mhm.
So the event would be the lifting of the moratorium with, for instance,
Increase.
another well
Yeah,
supply coming
yeah, I
online.
think so. I mean, but I think it would also be increased staff for the fields, because, I mean, I don't think people realize how stretched thin the water department is with
Oh, no, it's.
the sites that we have.
Right,
the
I
work
see,
that
I
we
see
do.
the sites, I see the building, I do a lot of
Yeah.
municipalities, I see a lot of water. problems.
Yeah.
Okay, and, size wise, I say the same thing about highway. Size wise, I'm in a lot of them, so I kind of have a different perspective.
Yeah,
Tell me about, have you gotten any calls about ADUs,
but what?
oh, accessory
accessory dwelling?
dwelling units.
And how are they handling water?
So we just actually, that's
Yeah.
funny that you say that, because we had one come before us today, that we sent some comments up to planning, but this was it's currently a 4-bedroom home that they're gonna transition to 3-bedroom apartment and a 1-bedroom. So it's not gonna increase the water service itself, it's gonna stay the same service. We had another one, didn't we do one on Evergreen Street where the I thought there was
No-
one on
no one's-
Evergreen Street with the barn a couple of years ago before the moratorium went into place. When Matt was superintendent, she retrofitted her barn, moved into the back, and then let her kids in.
Actually,
Oh, yeah.
that was a house that was on TV.
Yeah,
Oh, was
yes,
it?
yeah, the one across from me,
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
okay.
that was a house that was on TV. That
Yeah.
was,
history.
So,
yeah, it was
yeah.
a historical home. And, it was, the woman retrofitted the barn, and built it up completely from zero.
Yeah, yeah,
And put it aside on the barn and then did some more work in the house. But yeah, it was on, not this whole house, but one of the house
Yeah.
channels, because my wife was telling me about it and said, it's in Kingston, and I knew
Yeah.
exactly where it was.
so to answer your question, we haven't had a whole lot of them because of the moratorium, but I anticipate when that gets lifted, you know, if people are gonna require accessory dwelling units with separate water services, then yeah.
So currently, if somebody comes in with an ADU that is on its current water service, it's, you have no issue, you have a plan in place.
Well, it's not me, it would be the
No,
board
it
of
should
the
mean, right,
superintendent.
but what I'm
Right.
saying is you, the collective department.
Yeah.
Your position has resources to answer that question.
Correct.
Okay. The questions that you don't have an answer on because of the moratorium is somebody needing a new water supply.
Correct.
They're on their own.
Yeah, you can take the building down by the post office, for example, they're looking to furnish more apartments in there. And one of the questions they had was, what's your water demand gonna be?
In the back?
Correct, where,
Okay.
where the auto repair shop used to be, then it was a uniform place, and
Okay.
they've added a second floor. And I said, what's your demand gonna be? And the demand with a 3/4 inch existing service isn't gonna be enough demand flow to meet the potential demand. So now they're looking at, they just got stuff today that they're gonna, they're looking to put a well in to meet that demand for that flow for the added apartments. So,
So does that impact the remainder of the town to put in another well, or is it just a?
no, they're
private well?
putting in a private well.
Private
Yeah,
well.
no, probably, well, there's also a bunch of water over there.
Yeah.
Surface water.
You can be sitting in the ocean, but as a
Right.
drink, is a consumable, a potable.
Right, right, yeah,
What's
there's
the
a bunch of,
quality of
It's one of
bunch
my
of
favorite
surface water.
words, potable.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's, you can be sitting surrounded in water, but
yeah, can you drink it?
you can't use a drop of it. you
Right,
know? So
Right,
Gotcha.
it's that's what their next ball of wax is, but you know, so that's subject to the moratorium because they're adding housing, they're be constructing more, looking for more flow.
my point of questioning is to see what the tools are and what this position does, because that is a potential issue.
Yeah.
You know, a developer calls up and you inform that developer we have a moratorium.
Yeah, and I mean, I think people are now it's been in state long enough that people understand it, but in the very beginning, yeah, we had a lot of questions, a lot of developers would come in.
And if
Some
somebody
were very
says,
frustrated.
if somebody says to you, ask you when the new well is coming, what's the answer?
I say probably a good 5 to 6 years. We haven't even started the permit and design process yet, so.
There you go.
You know, you need the licensing and everything from Mass DEP.
Mhm.
So then they usually go, ugh.
We just recently acquired the property, so.
No, I totally understand. I mean, I kind of been watching that and well, also with the proposed 40B on Wapping Road and next to the land that you guys own, next to the old
Sure.
junkyard. So I've been watching that as well. So I was just curious, you know, impacts of those decisions.
So how can there be a water moratorium if they're putting in 40Bs on Wapping?
It's private wells, private septic.
Okay, so then that would be the same kind of a question situation for the old Sacred Heart.
Possibly. The difference is that they own the property next to where the 40B is going. And the problem is that drawing water for the 40B can impact their property because that property they own is for a potential future well.
Yeah, there's a few
That's the
factors.
concern from the Water Commission.
The water they could be drawing, but also the nitrate loading from septic system.
Correct.
It's upstream from that well.
Oh,
correct.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
So you put a
upstream.
community well system
And
just
community
upstream.
septic,
And it's gonna
and
leach.
it's all going right down to there. You don't want to be pulling
No,
right,
that water out.
right.
no,
Right.
no,
We're all
no.
about recycling the green community, but
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything else you want to add?
no, I think, I mean, as long as if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try them. I think Stacy's done a great job of,
You've done a terrific job. It's,
Yeah.
that, you know, my questions are over here, but
No, I mean,
we're gonna talk that one through.
yeah, I mean, Stacy's, you know, really highlighted the big things, you know,
Yeah.
very instrumental in the office, you know. With the scheduling and the handling the guys in my absence and you know, just that, you know, does a fabulous job, her and Laurie, the other admin, do a great job with, you know, bill collection, you know, and there's a lot of work, you know, like she said, she does, her and Laurie both do a tremendous job doing the sewer department's work, you know, with the delinquent bills, 3/4 of that money is owed to the sewer department for their sewer fees, people on town sewer. So we do all that legwork, you know, they'll send out mailers, they'll make We hand deliver notices, we mail notices, she schedules the guys to go do markouts for non-payment. And of course, there's always phone calls, what are you doing in my front yard, what's this, and then you shut it off, you can't shut my water off,
You shut the
didn't-
wrong house
you
out.
didn't pay your bill, and she tolerates all the phone calls, handles them very professionally. There's a lot of work that goes into that, to keep all these pieces moving, all along while dealing with that. Taking the quarterly bill meter reads that we just did, that turn-up program's still ongoing. And just scheduling, the day-to-day operations for the guys, it's, being a good balance of their workload, what can work, but they can handle on the streets, or in conjunction with being available at, God, if something happens with the Main Street project, we need to get guys out there right away to handle something or shut something down. So,
Does collections go past you? Do you turn it over to an agency at some point?
No.
So,
No, we're at, like a 98% collection rate this season.
okay, good.
That's a very nice number.
yeah,
That's a
but
very nice number,
it's,
and
it's hard work.
congratulations.
it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of time.
I chase money, I know what it's like.
So,
Chasing money is not a good thing.
I
And
used to
are
hate it,
you
but
also,
now I kind of like it.
are you also chasing sewer?
yeah,
Do
because
they compensate you? You,
Through their budget?
that you get nothing out of the sewer budget for this?
we do all the legwork.
There's a nice little increase if you wanna go to level 6.
Yeah, so.
Get it on a sewer.
I know, I'm learning municipalities as I go, year 8, and I'm always like, why are they two separate? Like, it sounds like, at least on the office, the administration side of it, I'm like, why are they separate?
Do you know what my pet peeve in this town is? Streets, trees and parks. What the hell kind of department is that? Whatever happened to the DPW?
Well, DPW is different, DPW wouldn't.
Would
include
encompass
those guys.
that.
Right, but when normally in other towns, it's like the Department of Public Works and all of that are under the umbrella. but
Who knows?
No, there's also highway department.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
call it
another-
the highway.
This
Highway
Which ones do you
department,
choose
the
about?
highway department is
Yeah.
another classification.
Because I can never figure out who do I call.
Yeah,
So.
It's just one
so
of
in
those
the-
oddities.
That's, so you are doing the bulk of their collections as
Yeah.
well?
That's-
Yes.
What's their
that's-
collection rate?
well, their collection is based off of what I collect, so.
Yeah,
it's about-
Yeah, so and most of the people that are delinquent with their bills, like I said, the water aspect end of it could be $60-70, and $300-400-500 of it is sewer.
So,
So we're doing all that legwork, we're paying all the mailing fees, postage, all that, it's all done.
Your
on our
budget?
own. Yep, all the stationery, all the,
Your budget,
yes,
doesn't make sense to me, but
doesn't seem fair.
that doesn't make sense to me. That it's not coming out, they're an enterprise fund, why can't they do it?
Right.
just how it
The way you've always done it.
That's
happened.
how it's always been done.
Director, so let's just see.
My favorite line, you
Yeah,
know, I walk in and
He
somebody,
said to me the other day and I nearly bit his face off.
yeah, when I walk in, I walk into somebody that a person I've never met before, and I'm trying to convince them why our grease. Why do you use the grease you're using? Because you've always had it. And I go, if I showed you something better, would you be interested? Well, it's, we've always used this one. And I sit there and I go, let me show you. And
Yeah.
once I show them, I go, and what if they were the same price? Which one would you want?
Sure.
It usually is the around it, but it's interesting that yes, I hear that all the time. This is the way it's done. You obviously understand that we think there's something wrong with that,
Oh, no, I think there's something wrong with it too,
Okay.
and then,
but that's not our fight. That's yours on the dime,
Yeah.
not mine.
Yeah.
but we,
So-
who are the people that want to be the bad guys, the water department, because their water gets shut off, you're not shutting off their sewer line, you're shutting off their water line,
Right.
so. For, like I said, 2/3 of the money is going to the wastewater, we get a little bit, but we're doing all the legwork, we're the ones who go out there to be the bad guys to shut their water off. It's my trucks that pull up out front there that, and get out, my guys that are out there.
Yeah.
People come out and they're irate, they're angry.
Of course they are.
yeah, she's responsible for creating all of the information needed to build sewer.
Mhm.
When they get their money, they don't give any to you as the department. That's not fair. That's not equitable and it's not accurate because you're not showing people what their, what the cost is in reality.
What the expenses.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, what the expenses and what the job is. You know, your job says water,
Mhm.
doesn't say sewer.
Right.
So, all the more reason why I'm glad you came in and talked to us. I'm slowly getting convinced, okay?
That's a good thing sometimes.
Slowly, not there yet, but slowly. But I definitely see that you're doing a lot more than I thought. So, but also when I spoke to you, when I did the budget a couple of years ago, I also got a good impression about all the work that was being done. And it is not a big staff.
Not if there's
So,
only one part-time person with
Yeah,
her.
it's not a big staff, neither than all those parts. And then, in comes a lot of commissioners and that's, they need attention and.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, Stacy does a great job at the monthly or the weekly meetings with the Board of Water Commissioners, getting their packets together, all the handouts, she puts everything together, it's organized and it's.
So you're doing the agendas and the meeting packets
And the minutes.
and the minutes.
so you're their secretary, you're the
Yeah.
board
Yep.
secretary.
Yeah,
So,
Does she get a stipend for that?
no, that's part of the job.
thank you.
I will say
Thank
that
you.
you have
Well,
assets
no,
the same way, though.
we have a terrific secretary here, okay,
Yeah.
we couldn't perform without her.
No.
She deserved every bit of her stipend, if not more. So, no, that's why I just asked, do you get a stipend?
I mean,
Yeah.
we have, KTU admins that are similar, and to your point, the, assistant to the, board of selectmen, town administrator, same thing, they do all that stuff, same,
Yeah.
for the board of selectmen, so.
And one of the things I wanted to say too is that I appreciate you both being here for the simple reason that, when we got this compensation stuff.
There
Here,
you go.
go put it in place.
And we can make it even better because we went to a meeting on Monday and we didn't get that until Friday.
Well, we got a 4 o'clock Monday afternoon.
And 4 o'clock on Monday, and we're sitting at the meeting going,
Yeah.
So we're kind of taking advantage of you here to go through this process so we can understand what we're sitting.
When I did the interview with them originally, I was very, very clear about what I did. And very clear
But
as to what I've told you this evening.
No, but
And so that's why when it came back, I was like,
you know why? Because they're gonna put you into a certain box.
yeah,
It's her science versus art argument,
yeah,
Yeah.
okay? And that's exactly what the problem is. They don't have a spot. That's why jokingly I said, make sure you have an insurance policy on it. But more importantly is, to me, if I'm him, I'm saying, okay, I gotta find money in my budget to get a full timer because I want somebody who is Stacy in training.
mhm,
Okay, not that if you did hit the lottery, God bless you, move on, but something would happen and they'd say, you know what? We really think you'd be really good in, for instance, in facilities. We want you over here in facility. Yeah, you need this requirement, we'll go send you for it.
mhm.
But we want you over here because you have all the whole background. He's now got a program in place to move the next person in.
Right.
And the systems in place that you've already written up. So I can see them having a problem with this grading, much in the way we had a problem with the grading, because we were just dealing with the words on the page.
Right.
You weren't here, So, I mean, I see the issues.
Yeah.
Okay. But I also see my issues, the other side of it, saying that, as I think we're spot on in terms of what I see out there and the research I do in terms of, but again, that's a position that same problem. We don't know what she does out there, he does out there
Right, right.
versus what you do.
Right.
Okay, you could be doing a lot more.
Right.
Okay,
she probably does.
again, I know your heart's in the right place, and of course, I'm gonna say the same thing.
Right.
But at the same time, we have to sit here and be fair, because the other problem that we face is you do a lot of work, you're an enterprise fund, no problem. What do I say to the next one coming in?
Mhm.
How do I handle it? Okay, and you're on a personal rate. I assume you negotiate your rate through them and the board of commissioners. How's it done?
So the commissioners, only the
Well,
superintendent reports to the commissioners, so
Okay.
that's wage and personnel. That reports to him, and all of it goes through board of selectmen.
Okay, so it's a public meeting, everybody's gonna know this, so if you feel uncomfortable, tell me it's all
No, no,
uncomfortable.
no.
But I wanna know So she's on a personal rate, she's above step 10, she's gonna be above step 10 in grade 6. What does she get?
Doesn't,
COLA, that's it?
yeah, like she does now.
Okay, so she
Yeah.
gets COLA.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And you're comfortable with that?
yeah.
No, I wanna know.
I mean, I do feel like, when this whole thing came along, and I think I've shared this with you. A lot of people got bumped up to, they may have been I'm just, I'm making
Grade
it
4
up
and they
here.
go to grade 5 or grade
Right.
6.
So they may have been like a grade 4, step 10,
Yeah, this,
and they got
just
moved
thrown
to
here and said,
grade
make it
5,
work,
they got moved to grade 5, step 3, so now they have 7 more steps to
right?
escalate, and they've been here longer than I have. I've been here 13 years with the town, and I'm already maxed out with no intent of ever, like, this is it, this is how I'm gonna retire. And it's like, huh,
Yeah, I mean, that's just it, it's like, I think, even before the comp study, you were at a personal rate.
Yeah.
Of that grade.
I was maxed out,
Right,
I was
you were
at,
maxed
I was
out.
at
Right.
10.
You were at 10, yeah.
Right, and so just getting the codes, and so we had a number of people that were like that. Then we had a number of people that, when everything panned out, they maxed out and they're doing great, they were already getting paid higher
Understood.
than whatever that was, and so, yeah, I mean, again, like the way. Like, I understand, I think I understand what you're saying in terms of like what other water departments are doing, and I agree with that piece of it. But part of a reclassification within a company or within the town is, does this position fit where it should fit for the town?
Mhm.
You know, but compared to the other positions that are
Right.
here.
And it's
So-
not the person,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I get
it's
it.
totally
Yeah,
not the
I
person.
totally get it,
It's-
yeah,
it's-
and that's kind of where the part of my person comes into play, so I'm like, I do from there.
Yeah, no, you're right, you're right. I mean, they were, and I've said this to these guys before, like, I've done a number of compensation studies in my career, and you know, a good compensation does the pieces that this does, right? And you involve the employee, involve their supervisor, you have multiple people looking at it, fields, sniff tests, science, like all of it, right? And then individuals, like, okay, who's already maxed out, like, how does that feel, blah, blah, blah. I just, I don't know if it was a big chew for a lot of employees here. But when I hear guys, or people coming back and being like, I don't think my position was reclassed correctly, I'm like, you looked at it, your supervisor looked at it, you know, like so many people looked at it before we said, okay, this is it now. Let's go forward, you know? And-
Having us in the mix doesn't give them any permission to do anything.
Right.
But that being said, I will never participate in a comp study that does not involve this board again.
Mhm.
Because when it got to the drop the
Yeah,
comp
because you
study
guys are left
on,
holding the pieces and
and
you're
then
not
we're
gonna do it.
sitting there and told, okay, now we're gonna show you, we're gonna train you. Yeah, okay, what's the training?
Mhm.
Yeah, here's your book.
Yeah,
So, yeah, so,
I can understand the frustration all around, I really
Well,
can.
and again, I'm already, and I mean, I said this at the last meeting, so it's public, I'm hearing from people already, employees coming up to me because of what, what levels we brought people in. Okay, rightfully so.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's a concern sitting in the back of my head.
Mhm.
All right, is, reclassing this position, what is that gonna do? Now, that's not your problem, that's really Tina's problem and the administration. And
Thanks for
this as well.
sharing.
But the point is that, when I go back to what I said before, and is we both take it pretty seriously. All right, because, if we're gonna change a position to a different class, and I have somebody sitting in front of me and wants to know, well, how come you did it for them and I can't do it for me?
Mhm.
I wanna be able to say, what revenue do you drive? You do the collections for 2 organizations? Tell me what else you do. And if they did the same, I'd give it to them. But
Right.
the one thing I am is very fair,
Right.
and she is too. Yeah, very, very fair. Our job is, and unfortunately, it's not so much, we don't have a financial perspective in this, although I come out of the finance committee, so
Mhm.
call me callous, all right? But no, I am.
no, you don't.
It's, and I respect Tina for calling me out on it sometimes. But at the same time, I'm also a taxpayer,
Mhm.
just like, some of the people in this room. So I'm very concerned too, that, we're not arbitrarily just trying to recommend for the sake of recommending.
I get it, yeah,
So, what's the benefit to you for this?
there isn't any,
Okay,
it's strictly for the town.
okay. Okay, I'm glad you said that.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Right. And I mean, and honestly, we've been talking for an hour. I know you'd tell me if there was one,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't have any problem. You'd be very
I know she'd tell
straightforward.
you too.
Yeah. So,
One thing I'm not afraid is.
no, and that's, and
A woman
honestly,
after my own heart.
yeah, and and I applaud that. So, I don't have any other questions. I really appreciate you both coming in. Obviously, if there's anything we can do as a board to help, please let us know.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you wanna?
No, I'm all set, but just thank you both
Okay.
for, and
You're welcome.
the information is more than what we read.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's where that was a really, I'm struggling tonight. It's good to know that when you talk to somebody who's in the field or in the position, they say things that don't necessarily show up on
Mhm.
paper.
Mhm.
So that was the intent of the conversation, and we've learned a lot. I learned a lot. I'm sure.
Enjoy how the truck runs.
I appreciate
That's
it.
the
All right.
Absolutely.
But
All
one of
right.
these days, I'm gonna go into the water department to that funky little
Come visit, it's a
building.
beautiful
It's
building.
It's a
Everyone-
great building.
When you come in, you're not going to leave because it's a cool building.
It's a
It is.
very
Well,
cool building.
cool
That's
building.
that's one thing that's only keeping Stacy there.
Yeah, with the new detour, I'm driving by more than I ever saw it. Like,
Stop by anytime.
oh, fuck.
I'll make you a cup of
I
coffee.
didn't know to show, I went for a tour on the sewer system.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
I've done that.
I mean, I do, but thank you very much.
That's
All right,
good
great.
stuff.
I really appreciate
It was kind to
it.
meet you.
Thank you, Chris, thanks for coming. I
It
really
was-
appreciate it.
Nice.
Thank you.
There you go.
Very
Nice to meet you.
All righty.
Thank you.
Okay, take
Have a good
care.
night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Can I recess for a minute?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
All right, was, as far as, you're gonna recess the wage of personnel for 10 minutes, 7:20 right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That was a very interesting
Okay, I
interview.
think that we have, yep, we have audio. Okay, 7:26, and the wage and personnel meeting will be called back to order. Okay, so, I thought that was a good presentation, Lorraine, from good discussion.
Absolutely.
Um, do you have any questions?
I wasn't joking when I said, listening to her and listening to him, there's more than her job than in here.
Sure.
And that, I liked that. That gives you a little bit of an insight.
How do you feel about reclassifying to a?
I agree with your comment as soon as you made it about the sewer and stipend and sharing and how to get that 5. And if she's a water administrator, technically, I don't believe they should be able to benefit from her work with nothing.
Without paying for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that too, but
I mean,
but,
in this day and age, with everybody wants the 10 cents.
but technically, okay, let's just talk the position. That position shouldn't do so,
No, but
technically.
but it's one of those cases where it's not on the job description, but she's doing. the
Oh,
job.
it's in her,
It's in the job
it's right,
description, yeah.
yeah, so, but the point I'm trying to make is that if we're gonna reclassify the job to another grade, okay, that shouldn't be part of it. And,
I mean, it's in the job description,
it isn't,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, there's
that they do it
but I
without,
don't know, but not,
not who pays for it, yeah, no.
not through, what's fair.
What do you, in terms of who's paying for it?
And, yeah.
Well,
Money
they
should
could
be
Yeah,
diverted from sewer to water to pay for her part of the work.
yeah, no, I agree, like we were talking about when we stepped out was, I don't know how much those enterprise funds fund the administration part of things like IT, HR, facilities, like those types of things that
Yeah,
all of those buckets hit all of the departments,
I can understand how that they would, everybody has a little piece of the action, but when you're talking about compensation,
Mhm.
this is a perfect example of she's working and, or that job is working. Not just water, but
So-
also in sewer.
Yeah,
So I
it's-
think if the-
on page 2, it does say specifically it's water and sewer.
Right,
Well,
but I mean, again,
In
if
sewer
you're, if
buildings.
somewhere down the line it was, okay. 5% of her salary is gonna be paid out of the sewer enterprise fund. That has nothing to do with it, she won't get a raise,
No.
the position's great at what it is.
But it's a
So-
problem that kind of popped up.
Yeah, sure.
An inequity.
So
Yeah.
I gotta ask this question, because it's been in the back of my mind.
Okay.
And this is the linchpin for me.
Okay.
So she's $5,000 above grade 5,
Are you asking that, or are
she
you?
is,
Okay, yep.
okay? Now we move it to grade 6.
Mhm.
Can an argument be made that I should be $5,000 above grade 10? Why?
Grade 10, step 10.
Step 10, why?
Because the steps are the steps, and so any grade is tied to those
I'm on a
steps.
personal rate.
Right. Okay,
My
so,
personal rate is 5,000 more than the current grade, step 10.
Right.
You're moving it to a higher grade.
Mhm.
Shouldn't I get 5,000 more than step 10, grade 6, if you're on?
No, because she's getting 5,000 because it happened to play out that way, right? I have examples of people in grade 2 that are getting $7,000 more than the next, or the step 10, because that's just where their money fell. It's funny because when the compensation study happened 2 times ago,
2017.
yeah, well, it started in 17, I don't think it actually
No,
did
I-
it to 19 or something like that. They
Yeah.
changed the grade of the position to match her salary. And that shouldn't have happened. And so
No, they bumped her up a grade.
they bumped the
get her-
position to be like,
get
oh,
her
well, she already
into the
makes this, so this is where the position should fall.
Mm-hmm.
No. She should have, even back then, should have had a personal grade.
And again,
Personal
you,
thing.
you understand my
I
concern.
get what you're saying.
And I
don't-
think someone could make an argument.
I don't see it.
I just
because
wanna
again,
hear what
Yeah,
your
no,
argument
so-
is against it.
so-
And the first argument you gave me
Yeah.
made a lot of sense.
So the position is what gets graded, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so grade 6 is where this position should live. Whatever that range is whatever that range lives. Now, we're putting an incumbent in that grade. If she wasn't above, so if she was, if she's $5,000 over grade 5, where she currently lives, but for whatever reason, that landed on a step in grade 6, are we saying, and here's an extra $5,000? No, because now that fits in the right grade, that her salary for the individual do not fit to the grade the position should be in.
And that's how it's always been. If a person's salary
favorite line.
doesn't fit into the grade.
Right, that's where the personal.
Then
grade
they would
comes
just
in.
get the colas, there'd be
Yeah.
no other.
No,
increase.
I understand that. I just see that this compensation study is presenting problems that weren't forecasted,
So,
could present problems that weren't forecasted. And I think someone could make a very good argument for what I just said.
But I.
but again, the
always have
compensation
personal
study
goals.
is not, did not dictate what individuals should have been making. It looked at positions, it graded positions, it looked at the data from out there and said, this is how much this position is paying at your competition. Here's the grade, here's the range. How you people handle your employees is up to you. You know what I mean? And so what we did was we handled the employees across the board, KTU, police, whoever it was. We applied the same formula. For some people, that meant you're getting paid too much for this new grade. There's others, like to her point, it was you were getting paid too much, but your position went up because it's been graded differently now. So you're gonna be at a lower step and have more of a horizon. But whether that happened to you individually because your position changed, like the grading of the position changed. A comp study deals with positions, grading, and what's that word for? Market, right? The individuals, a company decides how they want to handle that. Like we could have said, like they did at the last one, like, oh, her position isn't in the right grade, her money's too much, let's raise the position. No.
No, I get it.
You know what I
I get
mean?
it. I do get it. I do get it. I
I'm thinking about just quietly, maybe over the weekend, reclassifying, see what happens with the idea of understanding some of the language differently. I'll do it. I have no problem. I'm not saying that we need to do this or anything.
No,
I'm just curious because after talking with her and after talking with Chris, like in that paragraph,
Mhm.
you know, that I talked to them about, it's like, okay, now I know more, I understand more. So is that gonna affect how I grade it?
Mhm.
Just see what
Well,
happens, just as an exercise.
right, no, I agree.
Yeah,
But the reason I asked what I asked, was, does this do anything for you? Was because I wanted to hear. Because what I described to you is my fear,
Mhm.
and, quite frankly, I think I could really make a good argument for it. If I was in that
But then
position.
you'd have to make it for everybody. So,
That's my
but so
point.
then what's ending up happening is,
Right.
then, okay, so we've had a department head that came from KTU
Mhm.
who thought they were gonna take whatever step they lived on into their new job. That's not how wage and personnel
Jobs
does it.
Right, yeah, jobs
Right?
classified, right.
And so I think if we started saying, oh, you're 5,000 above this one, we'll make you 5,000 more or whatever above the other one. Again, the position is graded by duties, responsibilities, blah, blah, comparatively to everybody else or every other position in the town. Data is from market. Where do you fit on that? You're already outpriced, you're outpriced. In other companies, you get red line, you don't even get the gold. Because the market has to catch up to how much we've been overpaying you, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say something, what was I going to say? What was I going to say?
Do you,
Yeah,
do you?
oh, I know what I was gonna say, sorry.
Do what?
So,
finish your thought.
I'll be honest with you, so you know, this is 5 points shy of going to the next grade. If it was 20 points shy, I probably wouldn't be pushing it, because
No,
that's too much of an art. That's relying
No,
too much on the art part of it.
I respect it 100%.
Yeah.
I really do. Okay, I admire the fact that, you know. Quite frankly, during our last meeting, if I was not the chairman, after that vote, I would have said reconsideration.
Mm,
And I would have started that whole discussion all over again,
mhm.
because I didn't like it. Okay?
Yeah.
But as a chairman, that's not my job. I don't want to do that. So I totally respect where you're coming from. I just starting to smell some stuff as a result of this wage and personnel study that's coming through. I wasn't kidding when I've been approached.
Oh, I know, because I
I
heard
have
them
been.
too.
Yeah.
And I wasn't kidding when I said I want a way to review incumbents in the now.
Mhm.
Because again, in other worlds, not every employer that I've been with, but there's at least the flexibility, if the employer wants to do that philosophy on how they treat their current employees. The example we had, I would look at everyone in grade 13 or whatever it was, I would look at all the history, or the total related experience and be like, do I need to adjust some people in order to justify bringing this new person in at such a high rate? I have that ability. I don't have it here,
I
you know?
No, I
And
understand.
so it
That's-
does, when I get employees,
Yeah.
whether it's here or on the KTU side of the house, be like, what the heck? I'm like, dude, I get it. You know what I mean?
I told you the story when Brad was here, God rest his soul, and I did his budget.
Mhm.
And the year he saved $50,000 in electricity expenses.
Yeah,
And I said, listen, if you were working for me, I'd write you a $5,000
Right.
check today.
Right.
He
absolutely,
said, I can't do that. So what do you need before I take money back?
right.
Yeah.
And
I did
that's
say
just
that to him.
it. That's
And
just
I said,
it.
what do you need? What would make your, I gotta take some of it back. Because they're gonna
Yeah.
look when I get there.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
what do you need?
Right.
And we went through several of his priorities and we found two
Ways to
things.
spend that money.
Well, two things that he needed to make his job easier,
Right,
okay? Because, if it's one thing to hand somebody a check, but also if you can hand them less responsibility for the same
Or raise
pay,
your way or
or,
whatever,
you know,
yeah,
a balance in life,
absolutely.
there's something to be said for that.
Absolutely, and we don't
So-
have that flexibility here either.
No,
You
and,
know?
We don't have
well,
any
we don't have it, we don't have it overtly.
Yeah.
Covertly sometimes. Yeah, I hope you heard it. But at the same time, it made common sense.
Yeah.
So that's why,
Just so I'm clear, like, or explaining myself clearly, like, again, when I look at compensation in other industries, if they choose to do the philosophy of we reevaluate every time there's a promotion, a hire, or a reclass, whoever that incumbent pool is, that doesn't mean the squeaky wheel will always match,
Mhm.
because you take everything into consideration, right? And so when I used to make, recommendations, I would say things like, you know, new employee has 10 years of 12 related experience, so they bring 10 years into the door. These people that are here, I have someone that's, 3 years, I have someone that's 15 years. This person should come in the middle. Well, the 15-year person makes way less because they're not a good employee. Then no, I'm not gonna raise that, I'm not gonna raise them. But that's not up in it, that's a managed performance piece of it. If they're not, if they've been here forever and not a great performer, they shouldn't be here.
Right, well, so
Right, and that's a
that's-
different piece of wax
that's a different
altogether.
argument, yeah.
So, so again, like, I would love but I know Keith would too, like, we've talked about, like, we have to bring people in. If we have to bring them in at a higher than whatever, whether it's because we're strapped, it's the pool of applicants that are out there, or they are truly superstars walking in the door. We have to be able to grab that. How do we help the people that have been here? Because it isn't fair. It isn't fair. If they're good performers, longevity or not, if you're equaling the skill and the experience, and you have a proven performer sitting at your desk already, yeah, it bites to be like, okay, I understand you and I have 10 years of experience. You're walking in with it for 10 years. I've got it here for 10 years, but now you're making more money than I am, or you're making the same money I am. That's hard to handle. Right? I don't have a way to say, right, let me bump you. You know what I mean? So, and honestly, I'd like to see that. I mean, police and fire are a little different, but I'd like to see that overall, because even on the hourly employees, it's, yeah. When we go to replace that, that's gonna be a demand thing. There's not enough bodies to fill, no, there's not enough qualified people to fill that,
You need a hammer, you go to see her.
right,
You're gonna have to go somewhere and get them.
right,
It's funny, I was,
and they
talking-
know that, these people that are,
I was talking to
know.
a friend of mine who owns a business. And, what he's done is he goes to vocational schools and gets the kids involved
Yes,
and trains them in his business. He pays them
it's on
very well.
it's on my whiteboard
He-
to do.
He, it's hard for us because of the number of positions, but he's got 3 mechanics that will never go anywhere.
Right,
Because he gave them a chance, he
Mhm.
brought them in, he gives them balance of life, he
Yeah.
gives them the
Yeah.
wages they need. And, he goes, I hire somebody, he says, it's very, very, infrequent that I ever hire anybody from outside
yeah,
that works for somebody else.
right,
He
Well, that's
goes, I can use, unless it's somebody at a lower position and I bring them in.
right, they're promoting or whatever,
Right.
yeah.
But, yeah, we're gonna have this discussion again in October for
Mhm.
that
Well,
position.
we won't,
Yeah, we will, we'll be looking at the classification.
no, because it's a KTU.
Oh, I guess we won't. then. Same thing.
I will.
You will,
It has
I
been.
see. But knowing what I know,
For sure,
I can see the
for
problem.
sure, we had to do
I'm
a story,
sorry.
but that's okay.
So
Yeah, I mean,
I.
there's a lot.
So I'm gonna ask one last question. How do I answer someone that says to me, why don't you just wait for the next person to come in? Besides the wait for time. Why did we have to reclassify that job to a higher salary level in a time of fiscal constraint?
Mhm.
When we could have just kept the person we have on personal rate, left them there, waited. It's no benefit to her, but we deal with it when the next person walks through the door.
It's because of the same reason that we wish we could address internals when we have to bring people in at the higher rate. The position belongs, the position belongs. And that's how you treat an employee. You recognize the fact that this job is at a higher level. I'm sorry, I can't touch your salary. But at least recognize as an employer that this job is at a higher thing. And this is why I said it. She had a boss that looked at the comp study. I had department heads come to me from other departments, mainly about themselves, but some took their staff into consideration to say, this isn't classified right. Go back to the drawing board, tell me why. And we took care of what we could, not everyone got it just because they asked, but Keith and I did go back to that. And again, department heads had a big piece of that. Their commissioners had a big piece of that to say, that doesn't feel right. Like they had the whole list of
They knew
employees,
then.
not employees, but the positions.
Right.
And that's why you got the people going, you think a sewer commissioner, or you think a sewer superintendent is the same as the rec person? Like, they saw it as that, right?
Mm.
Make a case.
No, I
You know?
get
So
it.
why wasn't the case made then?
Right.
And whether I'm an employee who can't advocate for myself, I hope my boss can. And now we as a company, if those two levels couldn't do it, now we're looking at it to say, yeah, we gotta fix that because that's not placed right. And so if someone comes to you or me or whoever and says, why are you addressing something that's not gonna benefit the employee? Because it's respect, it's looking for that position, it's planning for the future. It's the right thing to do. And the right thing would also be to do when you have an employee that comes to you that's about to retire and say, they're at step 10, I've been here 35 years. The right thing to do is for me to look at you and adjust your salary. I can't do that. I can't do this. So, I mean, again, doesn't make it right that I can't do that, but I can do this. So, and fiscally, to answer your own question, it doesn't, there's no extra money here. So we're just trying to right the ship, you know? So
No,
that's what I would say.
I hear it, okay. Not 100% sold.
No,
You've done a pretty good job. She did a really good job.
Yeah, no, and that's just
Okay,
it.
but,
That's, yeah.
I'm still not 100% sold.
Sure.
How do you feel?
It's hot in here, man.
You're doing good.
No,
It's like it's dying in here.
it is really.
It's really
But
hot.
the AC says 76 behind it.
Well, that's an AC.
the window's not doing
It's
it.
nothing.
Turn the AC down.
It does those
No,
things,
that's
aren't
a
they?
temperature.
That's not.
Yeah, I know, so turn it, open
No,
it
that's
up.
not-
Yeah, we'll be fine.
And
Um,
plus, I'm hot all the time.
I'm stuck on that 5 points because
It's
to
hard.
arbitrarily throw 5 points up without a basis. What's the point of using the comp study if we start putzing around with numbers?
I don't have a good answer for you, other than the fact that
I understand,
that position.
Yeah.
Deserves the 5 points.
based on what I heard today, yeah.
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 So I don't have a
But
problem with that.
I'm trying to convince my brain that an arbitrary listing of 5 points, we're gonna get other cars.
So,
Well,
so I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So, and you brought it up before, right? So you have a better understanding of what the position does. When you go back through this JQ, one of the things that a supervisor, department head, a commission, a HR, a TA is supposed to be doing with all this is, and I'm just gonna black and white it. They say they need 3 years of experience. No one with 3 years of experience can walk in and do that job. It's probably more of a 5-year experience thing. Because you've heard what it takes, right? And so you change it and we change the job description based on that. And maybe that's the 5 months, I don't know. But, and that's part of the interview that GovHR did they did it with me. They're like, Tina, you can't tell me that you don't need a bachelor's degree to do this job. I'm like, I can tell you, because legally you can't tell me that I need a bachelor's degree to do this job.
Right.
I need 20 years of experience, but I could have,
I mean,
I learned this in my, well, that's not a secret.
and I did get, I got a text from somebody who listened to the last meeting and
Oh, yeah, for sure.
what? So I just turned around and said, this is why.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a response back, so I assumed everything went well. So yeah, he's right, people
People are, yeah, for
are
sure.
tapping up, but you know something? It is what it is.
Oh, no, I have no problem defending a
Yeah.
position.
Yeah,
No.
You know, I have absolutely no problem at all. I have no problem understanding. I acquiesce to your knowledge. I truly do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But I also ran companies. I also handled a couple hundred employees.
Yeah.
I also,
You
so
rode the
I mean, I got a life experience as
Yeah.
well, but, and I do have a degree. But at the same time, I listen to how this organization's work.
mm-hmm,
And, I'll tell you where I'm at.
Okay,
Okay, I'm convinced to go the extra 5 points,
okay,
okay? I'm convinced, to move it to a grade 6. Not 100% convinced, but I'm convinced from the standpoint of Tina's argument regarding fairness. And
art and science, fairness,
meaning that position is a lot more, two things about that position. It's a lot more than we thought.
Yep.
And quite frankly, it needs to be redefined and pared down and moved. Some sections need to be sliced and diced
Yeah.
and taken, because God forbid she does get hit by the bus, hits the lottery, they're gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and, that's why I said full-time admin person in training. Tina's job and Keith's job is identify that, needle of gold in the haystack and pull her out to fill a much bigger position that we need if interested.
Right.
Not interested,
Yeah.
it's fine.
you know,
Yeah.
she's clearly capable.
Mhm.
There's no doubt in my brain, no doubt in my
But
mind.
that position is a training ground for future positions.
Yeah.
So it's, so I'm gonna take it away from the person. She's lovely, she did a great job, I'm sure we're lucky to have her. But that position, because it's the functioning point of everything going through it,
Yeah,
is a great training position for other positions in the town,
yeah,
including fire, police,
Yeah.
highway,
for sure.
facility, recreation.
Yeah.
COA,
she's got a lot of information and experience municipally
correct.
to do to be able to.
You see it because of your background.
Yeah, that's why I'm listening to her and I'm going, yeah. So my 50 years worth of stuff is telling me that she's doing more than what she said she's done. That's why I want to take another look at the language. And if I can relook at that language and come up and say, hey, you know something? Based on our interviews with her and him and on this red line, yeah, I think we can do it. We can do it.
And I would encourage you to go through the JQ on your own. Don't look at how they filled it out. Now that you have
Take
it
a blank.
better, take a blank. And
Yeah.
now that
Read the
you
job
have it
description,
better
red line.
and tie it together,
Right.
because that is, again, like I'm looking through it going, and honestly, I told you this before, like one of the reasons why I thought the position needed to be exempt is because I went through some hiring processes with them
Mhm.
and saw what that position was responsible for doing. And I was like, yeah, that's at a different level,
So, so here's my question to you. So do you feel like you could vote on it tonight, or would you like to
No.
look at the language?
I'd like to look at them.
Okay,
I'm so
that's fine.
sorry.
No, don't be.
Oh, okay.
Do not be sorry, because truth be told is, I think this is the basis of this problem that possibly could come to us going forward.
We're not.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I'd be really curious what you see, how you come back on that language and say, Jim, here's what I see, and I think you should look at this.
And remember the conversation, and remember
Right.
the tact and this and that. I mean, to me, I'm blowing my brains out because why is sewer there? Why is she doing so much work for sewer? When she's water?
And, and I think another point to your question, Jim, is why would you do this? Because someone isn't bringing it forward to get a raise. You know
No,
what I'm saying? And I think that's important
Oh,
for
yeah,
people to
I see what you're saying.
understand.
Totally understand that, and that I'm weighing it like this, but
Yeah.
that other side of me is. Who's the next one coming in and what are they gonna do?
It-
And
but I
are they gonna throw it back at us because, well, you did it for them, well, here's why we did it. I wanna defend the
Right.
position, first of all, there was no vested interest in that person
Right.
bringing this forward.
Absolutely.
Right,
Absolutely.
Okay. There was absolutely no vested interest, so they didn't have a dog in the fight,
Right,
okay? Tina didn't have a dog in the fight. What Tina is saying is this, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but what I'm hearing in my head is, here is the, jobs classification report, the compensation report, and by the way, I've been through so many of these that in year 2 or 3, you'll do some more tweaking,
right.
okay?
Right, you know?
Because it goes back to what I said a half hour ago. There's things in this report that are coming forward now that no one expected.
And to
Okay,
be fair, that does happen with
Of
compensation
course it
studies,
does.
Yeah.
because it's a snapshot in time,
Right.
right? And it's a snapshot, if you're looking at, you know, again, like yourself, your boss, anyone above your boss, everyone that had a chance to look at these things, to say, does that feel right? Does that position feel right? Even if they went there and said, my person does more than that, or I do more than that. But now that person's gone, it changes the whole scenario, which is why you have to, and I appreciated what she said, in terms of like, this isn't about her, she's gonna use the word she and me and all that,
Yeah.
but it's the position. Because that's ultimately what we're looking at here. Again, she's gonna win the lottery tomorrow, and Chris is gonna need someone to step in and be like,
Well,
I know how to make these
maybe.
calls, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, you know?
If she wins the lottery and she might give him an up on it, then you can do, and then we're all dead.
And I did wanna bring up this other piece, which is unrelated, but it's part of what we were talking before. On the recruitment side, I was like, the draw to work for municipality is not what it used to be.
oh, I know,
No,
And
people
so
used to come in and retire and.
there are, you know,
The laws
she knows how to
changed.
be an office administrator, fill in the blank as to what department. And
Yes,
so when I go to replace her, if the admin isn't ready for it or doesn't want it, or whatever the case may be, I'm gonna be looking at the people who are coming from industry, you know, or are coming from the for-profit ambulance company or whatever, right? And so that's kind of where the money piece of it ties in. But in that mechanics, same thing. But if I could say, at least the position is where, in the level of this organization, I feel comfortable that the position is where it should be. Now that I know more, now that you guys know more, and I wouldn't have known more unless I had those hires I had to do over there, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I did understand that piece, because every time I talk to people all the time, like, well, everyone wants to come, no one wants to come to work for municipality anymore. They just don't, they just don't.
I know. I just found one. I read these earlier.
In my minutes?
Yes.
No, sir.
Mr. Hickley left the meeting at 6:42 p.m.
That's an alias, that's his alias.
Okay, which,
July 15th, like the third sentence from the bottom, Mr. Hickley.
can't
So-
believe it.
So sorry.
I made my husband read it.
You know what?
you wanna mute that, so it's not on record?
I know. I'm gonna yell at my husband.
Late.
No, it's a
Well,
proof. He's
so-
proofreading is a proofreading.
So what I
So-
would, then suggest, if you're willing to do this, is, postpone a decision on the reclassification until the next.
I
meeting.
would like to do that because I want to look at that.
All right,
I
so,
mean, you're talking this close.
okay, so
And I
I
have no
don't think
problem.
we need to vote on that. I think we can just
Yeah,
continue the
continue this,
discussion.
Next month.
On the next, so on the agenda, if you would, please. Okay, you good with that?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, I can.
all right, Tina, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Discuss the need for the warrant article at the fall town meeting. Do we have any idea what that might look like?
The only thing I could think is if you're gonna reclassify this,
Yeah.
do it then, but
At the fall town meeting?
Yeah, but there's nothing
there's no
else.
retro money part of it, so then we don't have to worry about that part of it, but,
So,
other pieces of-
so put yourself in my position, standing before town meeting.
Mhm.
I want to reclassify the, water superintendent, the water administrative position from
Yep.
grade 5 to grade 6.
Yep.
And the reason I want to do it is because of, it can be a number of reasons.
Further review,
Upon
timeline
further,
of before.
this job was initially done on the original compensation
Yeah.
study.
Yeah.
And after further review and looking at the actual position and what's in the duties being performed, we think it needs to be in this grade.
Right.
There is no financial
Right.
benefit to the
If there was a
applicant.
financial
but-
issue, I'd say wait.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah,
financial
there is no.
benefit
financial.
at this time
Yeah,
to anybody that's in this position.
Yep.
It just gives us the ability to recruit a higher type of a
And
person
place the position.
and place the position correctly in the job classification.
I think there's a lot to be said for that, being able to be able to do that.
I want to justify
Yeah,
at
and-
least, first of all, we've been at this for
I
2
know.
hours, okay? I appreciate you doing it, right? And Lorraine does too, and I appreciate you. Because like I said, this is kind of a test case.
Yeah.
That we're gonna face.
I think so.
And honestly, as this report gets older, it gets stale.
Well, and that's why you should do a comp study every 3 years.
Yeah, that way, I was just
No.
gonna say, has the idea germinated yet, you know?
So.
Well, this was done on a grant.
This was done on a grant,
Yes.
but here's the thing. So you can, if you have the bones of the grade system, the comp study is just going back out to market. I can just go to incumbents, or I can go to MMHR and figure out new money, you know what I mean? Maybe not me, but but in general, that's a lesser of a lift than, let me come up with universal grades for the town. Let me look at 45 positions, let me do all that.
No, I think it's a 3-year adjustment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's
And if we,
the
and
full lift.
no, and again.
It's
you know,
not a bad study.
No,
No, it's
No.
not, it's
and
not bad.
and honestly, it followed every piece of how to do a compensation study that I've ever done, except for the one that we had in 2017.
I
I was only part of that. I was only halfway through that, so I can't
don't
criticize
think
much
I
of
was
it.
there then.
But in any event, if you keep up with COLAs, if you make adjustments as positions get tweaked, like, oh, now we, know this position should be higher. And there shouldn't be much craziness there either, because it's one thing, like I've had companies that will do a compensation study. Be like, oh my God, everyone just got a $10,000 raise. For the next 3 years, everyone gets 1%. Well, you know what? Now you're behind again.
There you go, you're not keeping up with the system that you
Right.
created.
Right,
Okay. I do have a question on the minutes, though. I don't mean to be crazy, but on the Mr. Hickley
It's on
I'm gonna
minutes.
start calling him that.
on August 7th because I just copied it.
Yeah, Mr. Hickley.
I love it.
I better check. 'Cause I
See,
know.
Hickley is a number, even if you put it, even if you put it in
I'm
spell check.
gonna go back.
That's
and see.
hysterical.
No, I don't think it's hysterical. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
back a
because
few
it's your
months
mistake,
and
not
check
mine.
out.
Jennifer, you does, yeah,
He does.
you does such a good job.
I know, but
Check.
I can't.
Have
It's
you
a
added,
sign.
have you added last names to the dictionary? So that when it
No.
does the spell check, it will
No.
catch it? Try that.
I used to add my name because I got sick and tired of,
Yeah.
getting kicked out every time my name was on there. I had a question on,
Which,
on the minutes for, July, yeah, July 15, page 2, Labor
oh,
Council.
wait, what did we just decide on the warrant article? Can we just go back? Is that gonna just wait until the next?
The warrant
meeting?
article is gonna wait till the next
Okay,
meeting
fine.
because it looks
Yep,
like
yep, that's
what the
fine.
discussion will be is the
Okay.
reclass after
Yes.
Lorraine looks at it and we
Yeah.
further discussion.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Discussion. in the
Okay,
next meeting.
sorry, I
Yeah,
just
that's
wanted
all
to-
right.
No, that's all
fine.
right.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Alright, so July 15th.
Okay, so then you have on the second page, Labor Council would review the bylaws section cited in support of the wastewater superintendent's retroactive pay request.
That's what Tina said.
Okay,
Wait, what? What happened?
This was in your report,
this is in your,
human research.
Oh,
update.
okay,
We
from
were
last
talking
time.
about this,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
okay.
so I'm just,
Did I
saying,
just say something today that she does?
I'm making it up as I go.
This
I-
was from July.
Gotcha.
Right,
Remember,
I
you
don't,
were just going to check to make sure.
Yeah, no
everything
response there yet.
no
but yeah.
response, okay.
Yep.
Has that issue stopped?
To me, it has,
Okay,
but that doesn't mean it's not.
okay. So it might not be such a bad idea to have Kate.
Yeah, well, yeah. And that's what
change.
that's what we told the employee.
Yeah.
We understand that might be confusing. We'll run it by labor.
Yeah, or it's- yeah,
Even though she
basically
looks
that.
at it all the time. So,
The interesting thing, the other two, beside the fact that, Mr. Hickley.
I don't think it's funny,
I'm sorry.
we're gonna call them
but I made it, but.
You were
but-
consistent.
Great.
No, it's because I copied that section
Yeah.
and just modified it for August
Right,
7th, because
right.
it was basically the same.
You just
Right.
changed
I-
the time.
No, I changed the time and I changed the people and the positions, but it was the same topic.
You don't reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
That's
They
the,
gave me something.
that's a
to start with.
municipal mantra that I
But
think I
I-
heard the day I started. You don't reinvent the wheel.
Right, but I copied a typo. So now it's in two sets of, but they're only draft. I'm just hoping,
They're only draft.
I'm hoping it's not in any finalized ones. I
But
better
now he
check it
doesn't have
out.
to say he said it. I don't know who said that.
So is there any other correction to July 15th? Okay.
No,
So can I get a motion to accept the minutes for July the 15th, 2024?
As amended.
as amended,
So moved.
so moved.
Okay, I'll second. Lorraine,
Yes,
Jim, yes. Okay, August the 7th.
same thing.
As amended.
As amended.
Okay, so could I get a motion to approve the minutes of August the 7th as amended?
So moved.
I'll second it. Lorraine,
Yes,
Jim, yes.
okay.
Okay.
So,
Do you have to put anything in the minutes about, during?
It'll be based
I'm
on.
just gonna say
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
said.
Yeah, I just
And
didn't know if
again-
you had to do that.
No,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
again, what it boils down to is I still don't know the answer.
Right,
So, once we get a final answer, then we'll, because, if you don't have to be
right.
a resident in the town, then nothing, she wants to still be
Maybe
here.
that will open things up for some of these other
Right,
committees,
Exactly.
you know?
Well,
Yeah.
it depends on which committee,
Yeah.
so, I don't know. So I think what the best thing is, we've mentioned it. I think it was a good reason not to have her
Yeah.
here.
yeah,
If we were
absolutely.
gonna take a vote, and then, if she comes next meeting, she can just recuse herself. And we could take our vote if we come across it.
I'm just pretty confident that you have to be a resident to participate.
that would make sense.
But I don't know where the black letter law is.
I don't
Is that
know
town?
either, and
Yeah.
I'm just not that smart to find it. I wish I could, because I did try.
Oh,
I
I'm
looked-
sure you did.
I looked this afternoon and I just couldn't find it. So,
Yeah, I just have to decide where to put Darlene in the minutes, whether I put. Under
business,
call to order or other, if I just say.
topics
call-
not reasonably anticipated.
Right,
discussed.
so in the call
There you
to
go.
order, I'll just say she's absent,
Right.
and then I'll explain. it.
Explain it. in
Yeah,
Yeah,
business.
that's what I was
Okay.
thinking.
That's a good idea.
All right, is there anything else from you, Jennifer, as far as mail or anything?
Yeah.
Probably me think about it for
I
the entire
haven't
drive.
been in all the years, and this is in my 6th year,
No, I've made typos before.
not that I remember,
Or not that she's caught.
unless they. Smack them down. But I've never caught a typo from you.
When I put it into final format, I always just kind of look at it one more time to make sure
Hey, I looked at it,
that we didn't miss any type.
I read both minutes. At
I
home,
can't tell you how many times I read
So
that.
that's why,
stuff
that's
happens.
why, you know.
Sometimes it's better if I wait a few days and then read it.
Mhm.
again.
So you have nothing else,
No, I'm done.
okay?
All done.
All right, so, I'll take a motion to, end the wage and personnel meeting at 8:07 PM on August the 19th.
So moved.
I'll second it. Lorraine,
Yes.
Jim, yes.